Yes, good evening to everybody. Welcome to the class of course, today is the second trial class for the AIB 16th cohort 2021. And from tomorrow onwards, that we will seriously go each day one subject. So tomorrow is the 4th October. Then I'm going to start the administrative law, that is as per the alphabetical order, which I posted to you in yesterday WhatsApp group. Yes, if anybody not joined over there in the WhatsApp group of the AIB 16th cohort, please inform me so that I will see that it will be added in the group. So with this, I would like to ask you that whether you are hearing me or not, whether you could see my screen or not, please read. Anyone can unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Yes.
Good afternoon.
Yes, it is given that background is black and the
Sir,
wordings are white. Yes, that is
sir,
good afternoon.
sir,
Yes, please read.
sir, good evening, sir. Sir, screen is on. Good afternoon, sir. Professor Dr. Muhammad Sahib Hussain.
Yeah. That is good afternoon screen. I said actually it is a good evening screen. I was supposed to stare. To error est hominum. To err is a human being. It is a common thing. Now I will go to the directly to my class. That what I want to teach you today. Yes, this is the thing which I want to share with you, and this is the hall ticket because some of the people asked me, sir, what is the timings for this examination? So the timings is only 3 hours as per the 15th cohort is concerned. That is the last batch. That is the 15th cohort. The exam starts by 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That is the exam timings 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That is the examination timing 3 hours. And here the hall ticket of somebody else, which I shared over there. And let me see the instructions. Can you read the number one instructions, admit card instructions? Anyone can unmute and read? Yes? Is it visible to you?
Yes, sir. Little small letters, sir.
Yes, because I still magnified it, but it doesn't matter. I'll read it. So that
Candidates are required to carry this admit card along with the one photo ID to the respective examination center.
okay.
Candidate with admit card shall not be allowed to enter the exam center. The admit card comprises of 3 pages. It is mandatory to sign the COVID declaration and submit to the invigilator.
Yeah, at the time, because the pandemic is very much high, perhaps the same rule would be applicable now. The candidates are required to carry this admit card along with the one ID proof to this respective examination center. You may ask me, sir, what ID proof? Either you can take the Aadhaar card, you can take the license, you take anything like a passport where your photograph is attested by the competent authority. Candidates without admit card shall not be allowed to enter the examination center. So you have to go to the center with this admission card. Of course, for you also it will be given over there, the admission card, and it can be downloaded from the site. Yeah, and this is consisting of the 3 pages. It is a mandate to sign the COVID declaration form also there, I believe in it, and submit to the invigilator. Number two is, yes, anyone can read. If the two, you could happy to see the two. Yes.
Yes, sir. Candidates should report of their respective examination center by 9:15 a.m., sir.
Yes, at least 45 minutes begins commencement of the examination. You should be present over there by 9:15. And mostly your examination center is Hyderabad. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Because,
sir.
yes, because because Sandhya Rani has she wrote the examination IIB and she qualified and she is now practicing and she knows where is your center, Sandhya Rani?
Thank you, sir.
Where is your center?
Center is in Hyderabad, sir. That is an KV Rangareddy Law College. That is the campus of Gagan Mahal, Hyderabad, sir.
Okay. Because most of the
Ye-
people got ICFA is the hand center. Because this person is Ramarao is there, and his center is the ICFA Law School and that EFHE campus. That is Dontanapalli, Shankarapalli Road is there. So preferably one day before that you come, those who are not staying in Hyderabad, and come one day before and stay there night, so that in the morning you did not feel any problem at all. But if you think that you can travel from there in the morning, don't take the risk. Don't take the risk. Please, one day before that you came, that's why I completing my classes by 22nd only, and 23rd that you can travel and stay night, you can stay comfortably on 23rd in the night, and the 24th exactly at the 9:15 a.m. you should be near to the center or enter to the center. Yes, the candidate will not be allowed to enter the examination center after 10:15 a.m. In any case, whatever the reason that you have shown over there, after 10:15 a.m. that you are not supposed to go get into the examination center, because by 10 o'clock they will open it and they will give the question paper to you. By that time you can pass the information to somebody else, those who are there. But no electronic gadgets are allowed in the examination hall, and either the laptop or your mobile phone or any other gadget will not be allowed in the examination hall. To my advice, don't take any book, don't take any barat, don't take anything, but take only filled mind. Take only filled mind in your examination center. Yes, after 10:50 a.m., you will not be allowed, because the exam starts by 10 o'clock. By the time they will open the paper and they will give the student the paper, that is the reason they kept it 15 minutes grace period is there. Yes. Number fourth one is, yes, read anyone, fourth one.
Sir, candidates are allowed to carry only books and notes inside the examination center.
Yes, they say the candidates are allowed to carry the only books, but I say don't carry any book and don't take any notes. Your time will be consumed over there and you don't get anything. Please note the point. So that is the fourth question. Is fourth instruction is like that. Then the fifth one is electronic or communication devices of any kind, such as the mobile phones, laptops, that are not allowed in the examination hall. So no electronic gadgets will be allowed in the examination hall. Please keep it outside only before entering into the examination center. Number sixth, candidates shall not be allowed to leave the examination hall before the conclusion of the examination and without handing over the answer sheet. Again, the point, they will not be allowed to leave examination before the conclusion of the examination. That means you are supposed to sit in the examination hall up to 1 p.m. even though you completed 12 noon. I mean, yes, the 12 noon itself. But again, go through it, see whether you have committed any mistake or not. Okay, number seventh. Yes, read anyone. Number seventh. When I say anyone, only two people are reading, either Sai Kirtan or Sandhya Rani. But I don't know why Shaifuddin is not reading and Venkateshwar is not
Seventh
reading.
one. Seventh one, sir. All marking on the answer sheet must be with blue or black ballpoint pen only.
Yes, you have to carry either the blue ink pen, mine, the ballpoint pen. Now the fountain pens are rarely available now. So either the black pointed pen only, no red, no green, no turquoise blue, no nothing. So these are the things should be answered on the answer sheet. Now, Sandhya Rani, you tell me whether the sheet is what I say, where you want to make it black or blue, is whether is a round shape or oval shape or square shape.
Sir, repeat the question, sir.
The sheet which they are given in the examination hall,
Yes, sir.
where you want to make it a blue or black, the space which is round or square or oval shape.
Sir, round, oval shape, sir. Oval shape.
Not round.
I think so, sir. Not any oval shape, sir. Round shape, sir. That is a round shape, sir.
Okay, doesn't matter, Okay, it is a round shape that you have to make it. I don't see that it should not be cross that round. That's my point. What I want to say. Now, number 8 is candidate should center the roll number on the answer sheet as it is mentioned on the admit card and fill in the respective places only. The respective ovals, they said here ovals, respective ovals. Any mismatch would lead to the disqualification. Suppose if you committed a mistake, while you are writing the number. Immediately you bring to the notice of the invigilator, and he will make the recorrection, or he will put his signature. I will see that it should be valid. He will make it and bring to the notice of it. That's why don't be hurry. Write in a patient manner, in cool way. Relax yourself and don't read on that day. I repeat, don't read on that day, and don't see the book on that day. Be relaxed. Don't read anything on 24. Relax and go nicely and sit in the examination hall and be cool, and you write the exam. So candidate must follow the instructions strictly as mentioned in the text booklet, because in the textbook covers also there. There are also instructions are there, and you have to go through the instructions because the booklet will be given in advance to you. To my as far my knowledge goes. Yes, Sandhya Rani, could you tell me the booklet will be given to you well in advance, or exactly they will give you at the 10 o'clock?
Before 15 minutes before he gave, sir.
Okay.
Just only 5 minutes before he gave, sir. Somebody.
Okay, okay. But you can go through the instructions which are there on the booklet.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So fill the question booklet code and roll number correctly on the answer sheet. The exact code number, the booklet number also, you have to fill it on the exam sheet, because every person having a different booklet. Please note the point. Your booklet is different from the adjacent fellow booklet, because the booklet will be provided. 3 types of the booklets are there with the question papers, because your
Oh, sir,
your one
sir.
question paper may be adjacent man 10 question, that is. So don't
Sir,
try to see the adjacent fellow, because his question paper is different pattern and sequence, and your question paper is different sequence. Yes, Sandhya Rani, do you want to say anything?
yes, sir. A, B, C, D, sir. 4 types of question paper, sir.
Good. So each question paper sequence is different. So yes, the 11th is in case of the more than 50% disability is there, a 20 minutes extra time per hour will be allowed to the candidate. Certified copy of your disability certificate to be given to the invigilator to avail the extra time. Suppose if your disability would be there, 50% disability, like blind people are there, physically, visually challenged persons are there, those who could not write it, so they need a writer. That's why the extra time will be given to them. And if such a thing would be there, that is extra is 20. So it becomes 3 hours 20 minutes to them. Then the 12th is the candidate to the examination is provisional. So the candidate to the examination is provisional. Only those candidates who fulfill all the eligibility criteria should appear in the exam. If any stage it is found that you are not eligible for the All India Bar examination, then your candidate will be rejected. This is a blanket clause. Means if you fulfill all the conditions only, then you will be allowed to the examination hall. Suppose if the admit card also issued to you, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you are entitled for that. This is only the provisional one. Suppose if they find it you are not fulfilled the condition, then your exam will be stand cancelled. So this is the thing which I want to make it out. Then another thing which I want to share with you is yes. Now I am coming to the point. Yeah. So here the point which I want to make it out here is, see, somebody is I don't know, because I told them that today is my just I will tell you. ताहिर मैं ऑनलाइन क्लास में हूँ, मैं आप बात करता हूँ. So now let us see the question paper 1. Okay. Yeah. See, one of the things which I made it, how the question can be asked here. See, one of the All India examination, that is the 7th court SR, that is this, I prepared it, but I will show you the different question paper. Yeah. Now this model is there. Now I would like to ask you the way that they will ask the examination. In yesterday, I have given Jennings definition. In yesterday class, I have given Jennings definition. So now this is another definition, because
Sir, can you increase your voice, sir? Because I'm not getting properly. Can you high little bit?
my sound is so so bigger, perhaps. Okay, it doesn't matter because I'm very close to my laptop, and that is the reason. Yes, you could see only my head, even not my shoulder. Yes, to a certain extent, shoulder you can see it. So my purpose of asking is, there are many people who has given the definition. Like our Jennings has given definition, and Davis has given the definition, and Wade has given the definition. And yesterday, which I have shown you, I will show you also today also. That I also gave one of the definition where this is which I prepared yesterday. Yeah. Here also I have given one of the definition of somebody else. Yes. Let me go to the point where I have given. Yeah. This is the feedback. So what I want to say is some of the definition which I have given over there in earlier class also I made you. So definitions definitely they can check it. What the Wade has given the definition and what the other people like Jennings have given the definition. I will show you the definition. Yeah. So here, administrative law is a law concerning the powers and procedure of the administrative agency, including especially the law governing the judicial review, administrative action, and this definition is given by. So you are supposed to read Jennings definition, Davis definition, Wade definition, at least even one definition may, if they come, you are in a position to give the answer. Is it clear? Or do you want to ask anything? I ask the question, you have to give the reply to my question. Unmute and give me the reply. I said unmute and give me the reply. Did you understand what I said?
Yes, sir.
There are many people, those who are given the definition regarding the administrative law. That means you are supposed to read all definition and try to develop a technique. I repeat, try to develop a technique to remember the definition. This definition belongs to this person. This definition belongs to this person. There is no hard and fast rule. You can develop your own technique, I told you. For instance, if this, of course, I will show you the answer also for this one because it's a Davis who has given the definition here. That is 1B is the right answer. It's the Davis who has given the definition here. So how to remember the definition? That K.C. Davis has given. Administrative law is a law concerning the power and procedure of the administrative agencies, including especially the law governing the judicial and judicial review administrative action. So how could you see this definition is given by the Davis? Is the question. You develop a certain mechanism here. You may say, sir, what mechanism I have to develop it? You see, either any word Davis or spelling is comparative, make the comparison in the definition anywhere. Where VIS is given or IS is given, you have to think it over. Then you can remember it and then you can put it. See, if you want to see VIS in agency, it is not given, but it is given in the administrative, but administrative IV is there, then definitely VIS should have to be there. But you develop a certain technique and see that it will be remembered. So either by repetition of it or by using the name and any other technique which is over here. But I did not find a broad technique over here where you can say this is standing for the Davis definition. Because even also checked it, any administrative agency is there, Davis, not comparable. Governing there is not comparable. Judicial is there, review is there, administrative is there, action is there, nothing is there which is comparable over there where we can say. But in action, I is there, here Davis, I is there. But at least this may be give a certain clue to it, where the administrative action ends with here, where the I is there, Davis is there. Perhaps when it comes to action, the Davis is the right answer. This is the one of the mode where you can remember the thing, or read and remember. Okay, this is number one. Now let us see the which is the false statement. See, they will give all the statement here, and they will say the which is the false. Can anyone read the first one? A. Yes. Unmute and read. Can
Sir, which of the following is a false statement? The primary function of administrative law is to restrict the governmental powers.
Okay, number one. Another person should have to read. B. Another person should have to read. B.
The administrative law seeks to protect private
Interest.
interests and rights from encroachment of state.
Very good. Now, C. Another person.
Sir, can you increase the font size,
You
sir?
do one thing.
Because
You
I'm
because I'm getting the resound. You unmute it when you don't speak. See, my sound is such a big sound. My sound is such a big sound. And
no, downside volume is the menu is there, sir. You can increase your volume. You are not your voice, sir.
yes, where is the value? Tell me. Show me.
Now okay, sir. Now okay.
See, the point is the same thing which I am making. I did not increase. I did not decrease it. The same voice, and nothing is increased. Nothing is because I touched here the same thing which I put it in the middle. The headphones. That is my headphones are concerned. And yes, because sometimes now the it depends upon the what I say the brand width. Of course, mine is it is a what I say the oh I could not recollect the name. It is the package work from home package. This is so the cost is 1,286 rupees per month we have to pay. Work from home package this is. Okay, let us come to the point again. Here, if you happen to see, they say which is the false statement. They say false. That's why they kept it false false in the capital letter. So number A, the primary function of the administrative law is to restrict the governmental powers. Answer yes, because one should not do ultra virus acts. If the power is given over there, we should not meet. So it is a right answer. Is it a right answer or not? Anyone?
Right, sir. Right answer.
It is the right answer. Number two, B. The administrative law seeks to protect the private interest and right from the encroachment of state. Yes, this is also. Try to. Yes, tell me. Protect the private interest. Yes. Right from the encroachment of state. Yes, nobody could encroach on the state. So now, if you see the administrative law governs the relation between the government and citizens, is it right? Yes. Tell me anything. Relationship with the government and citizens. There should be a relation, should be there. Then the D. Administrative law is the law concerning the organization and function of the government at trust. Perhaps this thing something will be too fishy to me. Let us see the question. Right answer is yes. That is 2D. Means something fishy you could see over here. Which one? The D answer. Administrative law is the law concerning organization and function of the government at trust. No, perhaps this may not be the right answer. That's why the correct answer for this second question is yes.
D, sir, false.
D is the right answer for the question. That means which is a false. Other three are
True, sir. Right, sir.
right. Means they concern about the administrative law. So a question may be asked something which is concerned with the administrative law, then not with one thing, then they will say which one is the right one. Or the same question I can frame in different way. Which one of the following among the three, among the four, at least one is exception to this proposition, administrative law, relating to administrative law. Or I can put it in this way also. The following three are related to the administrative law, but except one. Which one it is? The same A, B, C, D is there, but my way of asking is different style. The one style is Rama killed Ravana. This is one style of asking. Or giving the statement, who killed Ravana? Rama killed Ravana. Okay, that is one way of expression. Another way of expression is, yes, tell me. Rama killed Ravana is one way of expression. What is the another way of expression? If you don't know, you say pass on.
Sir, Ravana killed by Rama.
Ravana was killed by Rama. It's the passive voice, another expression. So a question may be asked by any means. Either you say false or following among the four, one of three are related to the administrative law, but one is not related to the administrative law. So answer is here D. Okay. Next, let us see the third question, how it will be. Which of the following is not the meaning of rule of law according to A.V. Dicey? A.V. Dicey, the Dicey has given the rule of law definitions or meaning, but one is not the meaning of rule of law. A, supremacy of law, definitely it is there. Equality before law, yes, rule of law, it should be there. Yes, predominance of legal spirit, something here which is something fishy to me. It is become fishy. I don't know whether it is fishy to you or not. D, wide discretion power. See here there is no such a wide discretional power, but it is some power discretional powers are given over there. So now we will make the deductive method according to your view. Which will be not connected with the rule of law? Yes, participant Venkateshwar Rao, can you unmute and give the answer? No. Says
Sir,
Venkateshwar Rao, can you
sir,
unmute
good
and
evening.
give me the answer?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. Please give me the answer.
Sir, wide discretionary powers, sir.
Okay, let us see whether you are right or wrong. 3D. They say 3D is the right answer, means you are right. That means, did you guess it or did you read it or did you have a rough idea? Yes, please give me the answer.
No, sir. I have knowledge, sir, about it. I worked as a sub-inspector of police.
Oh, that's why that you do. That's why you know it's some rule of law. So there is
Yes,
no
sir.
wide discretionary power would be there. Yes, but predominance of legal spirit, okay, sometimes they will deviate from it because in the administrative law, generally, you can even break the civil procedure code act, that is code. Even you can break the means deviate. I want to say, I don't say break, deviate evidence act, but you should strictly follow the natural justice. That is a natural justice should be followed in the. That is the reason there is a very nice maxim is there. I don't know whether you remember it or not. Let you hear the other party too. I repeat, let you hear the other party too, or let you give the chance to hear the other party too. What is that maxim? Anyone?
Let you hear the other party too.
That is a maxim. In maxim, tell me Latin maxim. Adi altrum partem.
Oh.
I repeat, adi altrum partem. That means you give the chance to the other party also. Because, see, this is the maxim I will show you. Adi altrum partem. This is the maxim. Yes. See, this I will magnify it. I will magnify it and show you so that you could have the knowledge. See, this is the advantage of our laptop and our study because of the digital world. Yes, I magnified it and I made the black I made the Arial black also. Could you read it, anyone? Could anyone could read it?
Sir, audio alterum patron or audiature of et alteria pars is a Latin phrase meaning, I quote, listen to the other side, I unquote, or I quote, let the other side be heard as well, I unquote. It is the principle that no person should be judged without a fair hearing in which each party is given the opportunity to respond to the evidence against them.
Yes. This is the natural justice. Listen to the other side, or let the other side be heard as well. Then only you can take the decision. Otherwise, it is against the natural justice if you do such a decision which will be not worthwhile. So that is the one way, in another way to say what is what and what is not. Okay. Now let us see the another point here. Now I will close down this thing. Yes. Now let us come to the another point. So here the why discretionary power is not given over there. That is the right answer for that one. A.V. Dicey criticized which legal system? Is it English legal system, French legal system, Australian legal system, or American legal system? Rough, you use the rough idea. You use the rough idea. मैं ऑनलाइन क्लास में होता है रे, मैं बात नहीं कर सकता, नहीं बात कर सकता, मैं स्टूडियो में हूं. So now what I want to say is here, A.V. Dicey, whether he criticized the English, actually this Montesquieu theory is originated from that is the separation of the powers. It is from the American Constitution. It is not from the British Constitution. So here they said it may not be rightly followed the theory of separation of power, the Montesquieu, who made it. That means he might have criticized the English legal system, but he nowhere concerned with the Australian legal system because it is originated from the American legal system. Let me see. Yes, what about your view? Yes, anyone? Which one is the right answer? Guess it. I say guess it, even though wrong. See, if you are wrong, I am not going to punish you. I will not punish you the 300 IPC. Are you following me? In the 302.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Give me the one answer.
Sir.
Give me the one answer.
Sir, I think English system, sir.
English system. My it is also English system. Let us see whether we are right or not.
Because at the time, English system or American system are there, sir.
Yeah.
So I think is the English legal system.
No, but he said French legal system. Right answer is not English system because some of thing he made it from the English system or they say French legal system. But when you happen to see Montesquieu is belongs to which country? Yes,
Oh, sir, pass on, sir.
French. But Dicey belongs to English. So naturally he will not criticize the English system, but he criticizes the French legal system. But nowhere Australia will come into the picture. American legal system, no. This theory of separation of power came from the American Constitution. So here we have gone wrong, but the French legal system, he criticized it. Okay, let us see that. See now, laissez-faire is there. One what I say, a quotation. Laissez-faire or laissez-faire. Spelling is Lassize. I will show you why you should not to make it. Here you can type it and you can put it. Laissez-faire is there. I found only yesterday, even myself also thinking that it is a Latin terminology. Latin terminology. But it is not a Latin terminology. Can you tell me which terminology it is? Origin. See, make a trial. German terminology, French terminology, Latin terminology. Make a choice. Doesn't matter, even though it is wrong. Sir, we cannot make it out. See, here I made it, whether you could see it or not. Can you see? The French term that translates to live alone. So, laissez-faire is which terminology?
French terminology, sir.
When I said with so much loud voice, also you are not giving the answer for my question. See, here I told you that. See, till yesterday, even I myself also in confusion because I was in the impression that it is a Latin terminology. But when I came to know the laissez-faire is it's not a Latin terminology, it is a French term. The driving principle behind the laissez-faire, a French term that translates live alone. I quote, live alone, I am quote, literally meaning is let you do. The literal meaning is let you do, is that the less the government is involved in the economy, the better of the business will be, and by extension, society as a whole, laissez-faire, I don't know how to pronounce laissez-faire or laissez-faire, but anyway, the spelling is, let me see that how it can be pronounced also, so that you could have the idea, but I don't know whether it is given or not, because it is, let me try it, so that, yeah, it is not given. How it will be pronounced, it is not given. How could I know how it can be pronounced? It is not given. There is a icon. Speaker icon is there. Did you see the speaker icon here? Did you see the speaker icon here? Please give me the answer. There is no icon here. Okay, let us come to the next point. So, what I want to say is he criticized that, he criticized the French legal system because he's the Englishman and the theory of separation of power is to minority, it is from Montesquieu. So now Dash is considered to be the doctrinal barrier for the development of the administrative law in USA. Which is the barrier in administrative law? The rule of law, separation of power, doctrine of pleasure, Henry VIII clause, which is considered to be the doctrinal barrier for the development of the administrative law in US. But I saw the answer, but they say it is the separation of power is the answer because they have given, because see 6 here B, it is given the answer. Separation power is the barrier to the administrative law in the USA. Now let us know the doctrine of separation of powers was systematically propounded by who made the separation of power? Who is the father of the inventor of the separation of power? Anybody? Just now I told you. I don't know whether you remember it or not. Who propounded? I said who propounded? Whether you know it, you tell me, please. You don't know it, say pass on.
Sir, maybe Aristotle, sir.
No. It's the Montesquieu. It's the Montesquieu, who is a Frenchman, and he made it the separation of the power and propounded, and it is a Montesquieu in his book, The Spirit of Laws. That is the book he wrote it. In that it is made, not the Plato in his book Social Contract, not Aristotle, not the Montesquieu in his book The Constitution, because there is no such a book he wrote it, but he wrote The Spirit of Laws. That is the right answer for that one. Now, why I am giving this thing is, I want to tell you, I want to show you the way the questions may be asked. That is the reason. See, when you read it, it is very close to it. You know, this is the right answer. This is the right answer. No. When you deeply read it only, at that time you could know it, what is the right answer. For instance, you take this example, the 9th question. The function of the executive can be classified as delegated legislation, quasi-judicial function, or discretionary function, or all of the above. Try your level best. Of course, delegated legislation is there, no doubt. And this executive is a quasi-judicial function, they do it, okay. Sometimes they use the discretionary function also. So, can you say all of
All
the
of
above is the
them.
right answer?
Yes, sir. All of the above.
Yeah, if you happen to see closely, ninth answer, if you see it, see, ninth answer is D, means all of the above. So ninth answer is D, which is all of the above is the right answer for that one. Because delegated legislation definitely is there in the a delegate cannot delegate the legislation. Delegare non delegas. There is a Latin maxim is there. A delegated one, again you cannot delegate it. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Do you get my point? What I said? Here I will show you. Delegare, delegare, non delegas, something like that. Means a delegated one cannot delegate. Yes, this is the delegatus non potest delegare. That is the right answer. What is the right answer? Delegatus non potest delegare. So that means once it is delegated, again it cannot be redelegated. That is the point here. Can you see it? This rule. Delegate cannot further delegate. I will make it a big yes, so that you could understand it. Yeah, when you don't speak, you can mute it. When you speak, you can unmute because I'm getting the sounds from you. I'm getting the sounds from you. See, I will make it a bold so that you could know. See, this is the delegate cannot further delegate. That means the rule that a person to whom a power or trust or authority is given to act on behalf or for the benefit or another cannot delegate this obligation unless expressly authorized to do so. So that is why I'm getting the sound. Please mute it. You mute it. When you speak, you can unmute at the time. So here you cannot delegate it, redelegate it when it is delegated. So that is the reason here the maxim is given, that is delegates. Yes, what is the maxim that we read it? Delegatus non potest delegare. That is the maxim. I'm getting the sound from you or from me. I don't know. The good sound I am getting. Sandhya, madam, you mute it. When you want to speak, you can unmute and then you speak. Otherwise,
Okay,
you
sir.
can mute it. You can mute it because I'm getting the sound. So when I said you did not mute it because I could get the here. Still, you can unmute it. You mute it. You close it. When you want to speak, you can at the time you can unmute it because I could see here who is muted, who is unmuted. So when you want to speak, you can unmute and you can give the answer. So at any time, this now the time is 7:31. At any time, it will be closed. So the purpose of today giving the coaching is a question can be asked in any manner. So the same question it can be put in a different style, like which is given over here. For instance, you take the 10th question: which of the following is true? But in the above question, they say which of the following is false. So here they made the A, B, C, D, which is the true, you have to make it out. The legislative order has to be published. See, the legislative order, why should be published? It should be put it in writing or the circular should be given. Yes, time is up. Of course, 5 minutes are left over there. For a quasi-judicial decisions, reason may not be given. The duty to give reason applies to the legislative orders. The administrative power cannot be subdelegated. Yes, this is something not true. Just before I said, the administrative power cannot be subdelegated. That means this is true, it is not true. But other thing, the duty to give reason applies to legislative order, is it true? When you say the legislative order has to be published, here published means either writing, let us see whether the published is the writing or not, 10A. They say 10A is the true. That means the legislative order has to be published. That is true. For quasi-judicial decision, reason may not be given. No, it is not true. For quasi judicial decisions, of course, face value should be there, natural justice, the reason should be given over there. So it is not true. Okay. The duty to give reason applies to legislative orders. For the legislative orders, we need not to give the reasons. It is also untrue. So only true is the legislative order has to be published. Because just now we have said the administrative powers cannot be subdelegated. This is untrue statement. That means they give the false 3 and they give only 1 true. And they will also ask which one is the true. So this way also the question can be asked. Yeah, because they say generally the administrative orders are quasi-judicial in nature. So let us see the 11th. Which of the following is not held to be the quasi-judicial function? I say not. Determination of the citizenship. Of course, citizenship can be known by the person. If you have the passport, you can be the citizen of this country. Suppose if you're born over there, you are a citizen of this country. Where your father and yourself also born over there, then automatically you are a citizen of country. Then disciplinary proceeding against the student. And you can take the disciplinary proceedings, yes. It's a quasi-judicial body sanction. And disciplinary of disqualification of a member of a parliament. I don't think this will be a disqualification of a member of parliament. Generally, the election commissioner will take care of it. And an order of the preventive detention. The preventive detention purely it is a judicial function. Now let us see 11th, which one is the right answer. 11th D is the right answer. That means which of the following is not held to be the means the last one, an order for the prevention detention, because it is a judicial order, it is not a quasi-judicial. That is the reason that is the not held to be the quasi-judicial function. That means other three are please give me the answer. Unmute and give me the answer.
Other 3 are
Quasi-judicial function. What are the other 3? A. Determination of citizenship. B. Disciplinary proceeding against the student. C. Yeah, you mute it. I am getting the sound, Sandhya. You mute it. Yes. Now, A. Determination of the citizenship. That is a judicial function, quasi-judicial function. And B. Disciplinary proceeding against the student. That is also a quasi-judicial function. And C. Determination of the disqualification of the member parliament. That is also a quasi-judicial function. But an order of the preventive detention, it is not a quasi-judicial function. It is a purely a judicial function. So the right answer is 11. So in this way, see that is the same thing that I put here. Delegatus non potestate delegare. Yes, now you can easily give me the answer. You can unmute and give me the what is the right answer. You can unmute and give me the what is the right answer. Because we discussed it just before. I said, if you don't know, you say pass on. I will give you the answer. Say pass on.
sir, delegates not protects to delegates, sir.
Among the A, B, C, D, which is the answer? That is my question.
Yes, sir.
If you don't know it, say pass on. I will give you the answer.